Hey gang, it's your boy Platt back with another value spirit video. Today we're switching from the world of whiskey to the world of vodka. The particular spirit we're going to talk about today is Tito's Handmade Vodka. Little background into Tito's. Tito's was founded by a gentleman named Bert Tito Beveridge. That's right, his last name's Beveridge. In Austin, Texas in 1997. A little bit of background. Bert was a engineer and worked in the oil fields. He worked overseas, different sites. I think he told me Venezuela one time, stuff like that. And just overseas decided at some point, hey, I want to get back home. And when he got back home, he was trying to find something to do. He didn't want to go back to the oil fields. And at the same time, he was making vodka infusions, like maybe a jalapeno infused vodka for Bloody Marys, this, that, and the other. And his friends started referring to him as the vodka guy. And finally he said, hey, you ought to make your own vodka. Well, that got him starting to research, and it was the early days of the internet and everything, and he decided, what the heck, I'll start my own distillery. And that became the first commercial distillery in the state of Texas. Now, where Bert had a unique advantage was with his engineering background. I don't know how many of you ever looked into commercial distilling equipment or starting a distillery, but it's quite expensive. But what Bert did was he found some old Prohibition pictures of old moonshine stills, and being an engineer was able to reverse engineer and built his own pot stills. That helped him save a few dollars there. So he got Tito's up and going. The first couple of years were kind of slow, but what really set him off was in 2001, he won double gold at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and that really introduced him to the world of mixology, and a lot of the big mixologists, gentlemen like Tony Albugan and whatever, started really becoming proponents for Tito's vodka, and it kind of opened up Tito to outside the Texas market, and he started to really blow up there to the point where he in 2013 got the contract to be the exclusive vodka on United Airlines flights. I want to say he also has the American Airlines concessions. Those are pretty big deals if you think about it. And again, it just kept snowballing to the point where he is today, and Tito's is the #1 selling spirit in the United States. Overtook Smirnoff, more than Jack Daniels, more than Jim Beam. That's pretty impressive, again, especially only being in business now about 23 years. You think about those brands, how long Jack Daniels, Jim Beam's been around. Pretty impressive. One of the things that helped Tito's become a popular vodka, one of the selling points is it's made with corn. And corn is gluten-free, and it seems like in the last 10 years or so the whole gluten-free thing and celiac disease really blown up, so it's really been in Tito's favor that he makes with corn. And that's where the dirty little secrets about Tito's kind of comes out. You may have heard a few years ago there was a suit about Tito's using the term handmade. The plaintiffs were a consumer group, and they said, well, you can't really hand make vodka. It's kind of an industrial product. A distillery is kind of an industrial product. You really don't put your hands on the vodka. Tito ended up winning the case basically because the TTB, which regulates alcohol and alcohol labeling, said, well, there's really no hard legal definition of what handmade is, so you really can't violate it if there's no definition, as he won. Now, what came out, though, was how the sausage was made. Tito, when he originally created the vodka, wanted to go with corn because if you've ever tasted like corn whiskey or something off the still that's corn-based, there's a little bit of sweetness right on the front of the punch. And he thought that sweetness would differentiate him from other vodkas, which obviously it did. At the time, he was wanting to stick with, hey, I'll just use Texas-grown corn, commercial-grade corn. Only problem is there's not a lot of corn grown in Texas. So after his vodka started taking off, he came to a dilemma. Well, all right, I'm going to have to go outside of Texas for corn, which means you got to go to the Midwest. Well, in the Midwest, besides growing a lot of corn, they have commercial ethanol plants. Companies like ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, Midwest Grain Products. In the agricultural world, corn gets subsidized by, if there's an excessive corn crop, instead of the corn prices falling, they will take excess corn and the government will subsidize it, and they'll turn it into ethanol that gets mixed into your gas. And so there was this excess of corn distillate out there, so he's kind of like, why buy the corn and then distill it myself, where I just buy bulk distillate? And here's the thing about vodka that a lot of people may or may not know. Vodka by law is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. The true quality marker for vodka is how pure it is. Well, think about bulk ethanol. The bird loves ethanol. Think about bulk ethanol. It has to be pure enough to work in your engine and work in your car. So they purify it to a high level at the distillery. So he basically took that really clean, high-proof spirit, and he would buy it in bulk. Apologize about the bird, guys. He would buy it in bulk and then run it through his still and filter it one more time. So he does actually distill and filter his own vodka. The reality is a lot of vodkas are made like this. And a lot of people don't even run it through the still or filter again. They'll just buy bulk ethanol and then water it down with distilled water. A little disclosure, I may have brought this up in earlier videos. About 10 years ago, I tried to start my own spirits business. It was an apple pie moonshine business. We looked at different ways to start the business. One of the things we thought about was buying bulk ethanol and then using that as our base spirit in our apple pie moonshine. So I'd contact these companies, so I know a little bit about the process. And again, it's just easy. If you want to start your own vodka, that's how I would probably suggest it. Buy bulk ethanol, and then you can do whatever. Because what you're unfortunately paying for is not what's inside, but it's the bottle, it's the marketing marker. And I'll give you a good example. Like I said, we've already kind of determined that Tito's is a quality product. Again, it's made pure by just the ethanol production process. I bought this bottle for $16.99. Grey Goose at my liquor store is listed at $29.99. Crystal Head Vodka, $49.99. Now what's the difference? Well, that Crystal Head bottle is really neat, and you're paying for the bottle. It's real expensive. Again, another thing I learned in the process of trying to start a business. The bottle is actually a big cost. Then you have the marketing costs. Well, Grey Goose, Crystal Skull, there's a lot of marketing to it. You don't see a ton of that with Tito's. Stoli Elite, $57.99. And another one I think is another good example of, again, the value proposition is Ciroc. Now, a lot of people say, well, Ciroc, that's Diddy's vodka. Oh, and it come from France and it's made with grapes or whatever. No, it has to be higher quality. It has to be better. Well, the reality is in Europe and in France, they have the same farm subsidies. The type of grapes that get used in Ciroc are the same grapes that are used for cognac. So it's the same thing in France and in Europe. If a certain crop has a bumper crop, instead of flooding the market and depressing prices, you take excess and you just distill it. So they take those grapes, ferment them out, and distill it for ethanol production. So there's a bulk of, instead of here in the U.S. what would be considered like neutral grain spirit, over there it's neutral grape spirit. And you could buy that, cut it with water, and voila, you got vodka. Well, you put Diddy behind it, cool little bottle, and then the marketing behind that, and that vodka is $26.99, $10 a bottle more. You know, there is a difference between the corn and the grape, but both are still gluten-free. So, you know, what's the difference? Well, it's because one is got a simple bottle, and a really cool, simple guy made it, and that's it, and there's not a lot of marketing to it. And the other one has the hype of France and the hype of Diddy and all that marketing. So that's why I said this is, I think, a great example of a value spirit, because we're getting quality at the right price, and that's what value is all about. And that's how you find values. You kind of know how the sausage gets made. Enough about Tito's. Let's try some Tito's. No Tito's for you. All right, nothing. There's nothing really on the nose. I mean, you get the heat from the alcohol. Let's give her a try. Again, it'll get the little sweet punch on there, but besides that, it just tastes like alcohol. Just nice, clean alcohol. And again, unless you're drinking straight vodka martinis, no vermouth, not dirty, or like a vodka on the rocks. Everything else you're gonna have a mixer or whatever. Again, why overpay for the spirit? This is not Scotch, where, you know, is it 12 year, is it 18 year, is it a sherry cask, you know, different kind of deals, and you could taste a different, and you consume Scotch, usually neat, on the rocks, sometimes maybe a splash of water. But if I'm throwing tonic in this, or orange juice for screwdrivers or whatever, why am I paying $49.99 for Crystal Head unless I want a cool bottle? Why don't I just go with Tito's? Like I said, just nice, clean, smooth vodka. Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe down below. Also, please like the video because it lets YouTube know we're putting out good content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section, or you can always contact me on the Twitter page. Till next time, bottoms up.